I can see.
Okay. So, hello, Cloud Native Deradun, right? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, today I'll just be talking about my CNCF journey, how I contribute, and how you can too. So, firstly, let me just start by telling you who I am, right? So, my name is Divine Odazie. I'm Nigerian. I don't know if you got that from my accent. I'm the founder of Everything DevOps. I'm an electrical electronics engineer and almost cube astronaut, right? Or cube astronaut. Because like I just have two certifications left to go. And I'm an AWS solution architect. And I've been involved in data on Kubernetes community for 3 years now. And I'm an ambassador. And I'm excited to chat with you and share my experience. And hopefully it gives someone an idea of what's possible, right? And how to get to that which is possible. So briefly, I will just share like uh, my early CNCF journey, right? So this is the slide that I created, and it just highlights my CNCF journey just for the year of 2022, which is where I actually started being involved in the CNCF. So as you can see, in March 2022, I heard about the CNCF, right? So I was at a conference in Nigeria, and Chris, who is the CTO of the CNCF, spoke at that conference, and he talked about Kubernetes and the community and all. Prior to then, I've known about Kubernetes. I've used Docker. I've been working in the industry for like years, right? So hearing about the CNCF, the community, and what's possible really inspired me, right? And later I watched the Kubernetes documentary. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but if you haven't, you can just check on YouTube and Google the Kubernetes documentary, and it's a very interesting documentary, right? So that was in March of 2022. Then fast forward to May 2022, I applied to contribute to Cilium on the via the Google Season of Docs program. I don't know if you heard of it, because my background is, though I'm an engineer, I also have expertise in um, technical writing and documentation, right? So I worked on Cilium from May 2022 to the end of the year, and I spoke at my first KCD, right, 2 months later, and I gave a talk on deploying EKS, or deploying a Spring Boot application, Spring Boot Java application on Amazon EKS. Then August 2022, KCNA certification. I passed my KCNA certification. Then at the end of the year, I got opportunity to attend the KubeCon in Detroit, yeah, 2022, via the KubeCon scholarship. And I spoke at the KubeCon DOK Day. DOK is Data on Kubernetes Community Day. And since December of 2022, a lot has happened. Right? I can't necessarily put everything that's happened over the past like 3 4 years into a single slide, right? And this just gives you an idea of like what is possible, right? And I would say my journey has been kind of like an outlier one, outlier being like a different, or like a one in a rare one, in the sense of like I came into the CNCF like becoming involved in CNCF with a lot of experience, right? So that's why I was able to do a lot of things like being involved and like growing and all that, right? And I know some of you here are beginners, right? But there are still some things you can learn from my experience, right? Because like some of these things that I did, especially the Google Season of Dogs program, is something that other people that are both entry level, right? And there are some other programs that anyone can do, right? And speaking is something that you can do. I know if someone can feel like, okay, you don't know enough, right? But one thing, there's something I've come to understand, that thing that you feel that is not important, there are a lot of people that don't know about it, right? So for me, I started speaking in meetups in universities, right? So speaking to people and in meetups in my university and all that, right? So one can start from there, right? So the little thing you know, the little demo project you work on, you can speak about it, right? And then Although we know in the software world certifications are not like all in all, but then again we know the weight that cloud native certification hold, right? So it's always a great idea to work towards like a KCNA certification, which is the entry level certification, right? And get involved in community work. So this just summarizes my entire journey, right? And the main goal, like I spoke with Mohit, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. So is to just get a lot of questions, right, from my experience, right, and from to answer some questions and help as much people as I can in their journey. So the next thing I just want to share is the best way to get started, especially as a beginner. Because if you look at now, if you look at the entire job market, let's say you're learning some things, you're looking for opportunities. Everyone is looking for opportunities, right? But opportunities are rare, and a lot of opportunities are not for beginners, right? A lot of opportunities are, I don't know if you can relate with that, right? A lot of opportunities are not for beginners. A lot of opportunities are some of them unpaid, right? So the best way to actually grow in this space and tech in general, is to get an internship. But now we're in a situation where like organizations do not have internships open, right? Or some of the internships are unpaid, or there are limited opportunities, right? So where does that take you to? Open source community programs. So the one that I mentioned, the Google Season of Docs, right, GSOD, is an open source community program, right? And that is a program that anyone can get involved in. Let me just turn off my the notification. So yeah, so open source community programs. So there are so many open source community programs. I've received this question a lot of times, right? Or people asking me about like how do I get involved? What are the programs? What can I apply for, right? So I just created a Google a QR code, or if a particular repository that has like about 60 programs like listed on it. So most of these programs are paid. So if you're watching this talk now, you can just pull up your phone and scan this QR code and you go to the repository, right? And you can also, if you're watching it later on in the future, you can scan. And there are so many programs on there, right? And so many programs that can get your foot in the door. I personally know, aside from being a recipient of one of the programs,
Yeah, sorry to
what
interrupt you
was
guys. What you can do is scan this, and you will be able to know about it. Yeah, continues. Sorry, Divine.
Yeah, no problem. I know a lot of people that have gotten these programs, right? And have gotten opportunities through these programs, and like some of them, like Indians, some of them from different countries, right? And that is the good thing we have, like as a community in the like the CNTF and in general tech ecosystem as a whole, right? Because a lot of organizations are sponsoring these programs, a lot of organizations are sponsoring these opportunities, right? And yes, you may not have that flashy, I did an internship in AWS or I did an internship in Microsoft per se, but you get to work on core technologies and core tools, right? And in some cases, big organizations, right, that all these products, like all these other companies use. For example, now I worked on Cilium. The time I worked on Cilium, Cilium was a big product, but it was not like as popular and known as it is, right? It was still incubating. Yeah, it was just became an incubating project in the CNTF landscape, right? So it was not as big as it, but now I Cisco bought Isovalent, right? And so now I can actually talk say that I did something that Cisco bought. I don't know if you get the idea I'm trying to pitch, right? So I know so most of these programs are paid, right? Because money is good and everyone needs money, right? And most of these programs are paid. So you get paid to learn, right? You get paid to learn. So that's all what I wanted to share, right? And if anyone have like any question, they can just ask me anything. And I don't know if my LinkedIn profile was shared or anything. So you can ask me any question concerning all my experience. And maybe if you have some question you wanted to ask, like Julia, right? Though I might not very be as good as Julia, but you can ask and I'll see to answer.
No,
Uh,
that
what, yeah,
that's great. I'm sharing your profile to chat. And
Okay.
there's a question from Naveen that I write blogs, but I haven't got any clients. How can I start getting work in technical writing, especially with AI around? So, do you want
Yeah.
to
So
throw some light on this?
yeah, I can. So have you like actually written? You have some blogs you have written. So this is now me asking. Sorry that I'm answering your question with a question. So how do you have like a portfolio? Have you written some blogs that you can share? Because like that is important, right? Because seeing with AI tools, for now I have an agency aside from the product I'm working on. Now I'm trying to build a business. Okay, so that is it, right? So I think, Navin, you answer your question. So you actually have to write first,
So, he's
right?
just starting, his new in tech, so just starting around. So if you can give some tips and tricks, that
Yeah,
would be great. And I believe that's, everyone's question. And he's like doing in hash node, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think hash dev.to is very good, right? I've used Hashnode and dev.to, right? So these are good platforms. So I think dev.to is much easier. From my experience, I prefer it to Hashnode. So you can create an account there, and as you're new to tech, what you can do is anything you're learning, write about it. That is the entry point. So if you're learning, let's say you're learning about Linux, operating systems, right? Different types of Linux operating systems. You know, there's Ubuntu, there's CentOS, there's Rocky, and all, right? So you can write a technical article about that, right? So even though like this AI, there's one thing, and just like Julia said, right, and I think you said. It can replace like the human context, right? The human conscience and some technical expertise, especially in this space, like in the cloud native space. So anything you learn, you write about it, right? So when you write about it, another thing that I think is very helpful, when you write about it, you can share to people to review and give you feedback. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, it's possible. If you write an article, you can share to me to give you feedback, right, on how to write and get better. The only way organizations, right, will trust you to write for their blog is when they know that you have written and have an experience writing, right? And that is when they will trust you. If you try to, there's a repository, just give me a second, I'll find the repository of community writing opportunities, right? But the thing is, community writing programs. Just give me a second. Yeah. But the thing is, most of them will ask you for a sample, right? Most of them will ask you for a sample, right, of your blog and stuff. So I don't know if that answers your questions, Naveen.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And there's another question like, do I need to buy domain and how to get gig in the writing?
Yeah, so with platforms like dev.to, right, you don't need to actually like own a domain, right? You can just create an account there, you have a profile, and you'll be writing. It's your personal space. With Hashnode too, I think Hashnode, you have the ability to like buy a domain, but you don't necessarily have to. Personally, it's only this year that I bought a domain name for my personal profile. I've not had it all, and I'm currently in my 8th year of my career. So it's only this year that I actually bought a personal domain. I did have it before, but I didn't renew it because I never used it. I've never had like a personal like online profile. But then again, I'm not saying that it's not good to build a portfolio and have a domain to your name, right? That's not what I'm saying. Like I built everything DevOps and had the domain. But what I'm saying, that should not be a barrier, right? For you. You shouldn't worry about that. You should just to start writing about what you're learning, right? Writing about what you're interested in, and then connecting with people, right? Coming to events like this, going to in-person conferences, right? And it's kind of like I would say, a three-prong approach, right? In the sense of like you're learning, right? You're talking about what you're learning by writing or making maybe a post on it. You're building projects and stuff. Then you're going to conferences and meeting people, right? And that goes to like the next question, I think, by uh,
Issue.
Ishita, right?
Okay.
How do I get job in community as a fresher? To be honest, that's it, right? With how hard the market is, right? Job market is, right? Everyone can agree. The best way to get opportunities is when you know someone and someone knows that you're good, right? And how will people know that you're good? at what you do is when they see your work, right? So talking about your work on social media is very important thing. But then again, I'm not saying you should want to be an influencer or go to the or start saying or start lying, right? Or saying things that you don't really know, or talking about things that you get. But it's about like talking about what you're learning, right? And meeting people and like that is it, then applying for opportunities, right? Because if you don't apply, and for example, just like I said, I listed so many opportunities like the QR code. Let me go back to the QR code. These are so many opportunities that can add to your resume, and these are paid opportunities, right? And are entry level opportunities. So as a fresher, I will urge you to scan these and like look at the so many opportunities, read about each of them, and work towards applying for them. Because if you work towards applying for at least five by next year, chances of at least one entering is very high, right? So that is what I would advise. Like aside from jobs and internships, open source opportunities, open source programs like this are where there is like so much value, and most of them are paid in thousands of dollars, right? For example, at Google Season of Docs, right, for Cilium, though I was already working and I had like so much experience, I was paid about the entire project cost about was about $9,000. This was 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, right? So I don't know if that gives you idea. There's so much money. Like you get paid for your work. I get paid like from a US perspective, right? With some of these open source programs. So I don't know if that answers your question, Ishita.
Yeah, correct. I think you're right. And also, like which earlier you said, the technical writing is again a good way for a fresher to express themselves and be in the eyes of the recruiter, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because the way they are presenting the things, so the and especially not copying pasting from the chat GPT or any other tool. Yeah, they can take help, but you have to personalize the things, like you have used that product, since
Yeah.
like I have like over 12 years of experience, so I have personally used the firewalls, I have personally used the
Yes.
AWS, Azure. So whatever the problem I am facing, it may not be, I don't have to be a perfect for a fresher, I'm saying. Don't have
Yeah.
to be perfect, just express whatever you did actually, that matters a lot, I believe, right? I think it's correct, right, Divine?
Yeah, that's correct, right? And to be honest, I always advise people not to use AI in the early of their career because, like, though AI would help you do things faster, but you lose a lot of fundamental understanding that will not enable you to use the AI better. I don't know if you get what I mean. So that's if you want to learn about something or write about something, just use only Google for now, right? Because that is how like it has been for the past 20, 30 years, right? Since Google has been existing. You will learn a lot of stuff, right? That when you use AI later down the line, maybe make a promise to yourself for the next 6 months, I'm not going to use AI. I'm just only going to use Google and my personal research, right? And looking at blogs and reading and my personal practice, right? Once you commit to that, 6 months after, you will see that the way you even use your AI will be much better than someone that just started like using with AI with everything they want to do. Right. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yeah, correct. It's very much like driving automatic car. So first you need to learn the manual one, then you can drive it better. If you don't know
Exactly.
the mechanics behind gears, clutches, it would be really tough, you know.
Yeah, most people that drive automatic, right, that don't know how to drive manual. What
Yeah,
if you're in an emergency now and the car you see is a
yeah,
manual car? You get because emergencies will still happen, and you can't even press down the clutch. You don't know you have to clutch down before you get. So yeah, that's a good analogy.
correct. I agree. So, like, this is my question,
Okay.
because like I said, I am quite gray hair man. So, if I have to build a product, so I'm not interested in a job or something. I'm like
Yep.
interested in some building something cool product. So, but I do have certain limitation because I'm also doing corporate training and managing family and all those things.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So how do I like break? Because I heard that if I can be a maintainer and people can contribute to the project. So what are some ways, where I can motivate the people in my repository? So
Moderate. So what do you mean by moderate? Like
motivate to
motivate.
contribute. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for building a product, most of this product, right? Most of the product and projects out there, people are paid to work on them,
Hmm.
right? So I would say the first thing you need to do is find those people that are using your products on their day to day,
Okay.
right? On your project on a day to day. So if you find those people that are using your project on a day to day in their environment and all, right, in their work, reach out to them and tell them can they sponsor your product. Maybe one or two of them may agree, even if it's $10, $20, $50, some hundred, or if it's an organization that is using that particular project, right, for them to sponsor. Now, that goes, if you go back now, that means you have to build something people love and people will use, right? So once people start using them, right, and people are sponsoring and organizations commit to sponsor, right, also urging, like, if people love a product and their life is dependent on the product, right, talking about it, right, and telling people to like contribute to it. If like your life is dependent on product, I think it's not an easy or straightforward thing, somewhat natural, that when they see that most of their issues cannot be resolved, they will start having to resolve their issues, right? Or either commit like monetary value to their issues. Then maybe you can now like hire people to work on the product full time or the project full time. I don't know if that like helps give you an idea of how to approach it. But the main core thing is people use the product, people love the product, people are interested in the product, right? In the project, products, yeah.
Yeah, right. I got it. Thanks so much. So, guys, any other questions like you have for Divine, because he's carrying a lot of experience with him, and it can be really beneficial for us to break in into the tech, because this like since we are, although there are some talks about recession and all, but I don't think there is a recession because I get a lot of work. I don't have time actually to do work. You know,
Yeah. I
maybe
think
maybe
yeah, it's mostly for early opportunities. Like someone reached out to me for a job, right, today. I think it's early career opportunities that it hits more because a lot of people are looking for experienced people, right? A lot of
correct.
organizations
And
are looking.
also, I would, from my perspective, what I've seen is sometimes we have too much ambition. Like we should aspire for more money, but we should first like if you're getting some small gigs, also we should accept it. That is what my, because we should not be always talking about $1,000, $2,000. Even if you're getting $100 gig, although that might be work of $1,000, but if we are just starting, we can do that. That is what I think, because what I have done is like I have done work on $5, $2 also. You know,
Yeah,
although I was I know I was getting underpaid, but since I need to have that international exposure,
experience and stuff. Yeah.
right? So I believe you can sync on that, right? Correct. This is
Yes,
my,
that's true, right? When you're early in your career, they are not like I'm an advocate of not going for unpaid opportunities. But if there is pay, no matter how small, if you're trying to get your foot in the door, I would say take it, right, and get your foot in the door. I know where I started, right. My very first like opportunity was unpaid, so I reached out to the organization, right, that I want to work for them for free, right. The next opportunity, I was just getting an internet stipend, and if I tell you the amount of money in, I think if with the rate of dollar now, that money was about $3, right?
yeah.
It was $3 per month that I got a stipend with the current exchange rate now. $3 back in Nigeria, $3. So that gives you an idea of like we all start from somewhere, right? And now that is not the conversation I'm having now, right? After a few years and experience. So just like as much as you want to get your foot in the door, I see a question from Fabrizio.
Yeah, because like Julia also mentioned, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So everyone
Exactly.
should be on that it's a marathon. So we have question from Fabrigo. So if you can answer that.
Yeah, Fabrizio asked for Divine. You talked about your past experience. What's your current goals to integrate your future life with the CNCF and projects that could come out there? So yes, and that is thank you very much, Fabrizio, for that question. For me, my current goal at the moment is do a lot of community work. Right, that's why I accepted to speak at this event, and also community work from in my home country, Nigeria. right? And I'm planning and organizing a KCD in Nigeria, which is happening this August, right? And the entire goal is like, okay, you guys have KubeCon India, right? Our entire goal is that we want a KubeCon Africa in the very near future, right? So that's what we are working towards from a community perspective, and helping as much people that look like me and that are from like underrepresented communities. Then from like a Kubernetes standpoint, aside from my business, like helping Kubernetes organizations like create technical content and all that, right? I'm working on some projects, which is k8projects.com. So I'm tapping it here. I'm basically building a Kubernetes platform, right, for communities, right? A Kubernetes platform for, I would say, a Kubernetes platform for a platform for reviewing Kubernetes projects. I can just share my screen. I can change my screen to there. Uh, yeah, so basically the idea is, especially when you're new to the ecosystem, right? You know there are several projects you can use to get the job done. So the idea is to help organizations, right, and individuals make decisions, faster decisions, not just based on like, okay, this is the project that is out there, no, but based on people's feedback. Because like as human beings, we all make decisions based on like, if you want to buy something new, you ask people around, you read, let's say from Amazon, you read the Amazon comments and stuff like that. So that is what like I'm working on, right? And I can just share the landing page. So this is just like a landing page, and anyone can, if interested, can join the waitlist and share their experience, right, from a using Kubernetes project. So I don't know if that answers your question, Fabrizio. Thank you very much for that question. Let me go back to be sharing.
All right, guys. So, any other questions we have for Divine? Divine is doing really divine work, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
And so, we would like wait for another questions, if
Yeah.
any. Okay, you have already shared the repository list to like where people can contribute, and also this is recording and that will go online, so people can refer
Yeah.
to it later also. So
Yeah. So
yeah, guys, any other questions we have for Divine? So you just told that you break in into the tech by this technical writing and all those things, right? Like, would you like to shed more light on that?
I didn't break into tech via technical writing, but I broke into like as an engineer. But technical writing is also a good way, right? Because like you're not only learning, so you're not just writing. When I say technical, if I say one should go through the approach of technical writing, I would say as you're learning, be writing and sharing about it, right? So be writing articles and sharing about your learnings and all, right? Because like it shows people that you know what you're talking about, right? You know what you're learning, and also room for improvement. Because if you say something that is wrong, right, in most cases, people on the internet will point it out that this is wrong, and you learn from that, right? So that is it. So just like you build a project, you write about okay how you built this, right? You write a documentation. This does this. Let's say if you look at it from like a very technical perspective, right? You write, you build something, and the code you wrote, um, what is this? I'm trying to remember this. Like when they say your algorithm has too much, is it the big O notation or something, right? So if now you write a code that okay with so many while loops, right? And you know how machine intensive while loops are, right? Or nested for loops and stuff like that, right? So now, and you share that and you write about that and you write an article and you put your code there, right? Not using AI. I'm removing AI from this context, right? So now people can actually give you feedback on like, okay, this is wrong. And now bringing AI, you can actually help tell AI to review and give you feedback on what you did, right? Is this right? Can I do this better? And then you get better. You have more understanding of like what should be done right and what should be done correctly. Because now there are tools like Kuso, for example, right? Kuso helps you build. You build with Kuso. But if you don't know how to write code, right, or if you don't know how to build, right, if you don't know how to write normally, right, AI will hallucinate. AI will lead you down the wrong path. It will lead you down a rabbit hole. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Correct. So, do we have any other questions? If not, I believe we can wrap it up.
Yeah. So if
Okay. Is there any tips for GSOC?
yeah for
He
GSOC,
wanted to write about GSOC. GSOC, yes.
yeah, the tips for GSOD and all these community programs is, let's say for GSOD, for example, when a project is announced, try to reach out to the people that are like hosting the project, the mentors in the project, right? Also, try to contribute the project beforehand. Same thing goes to Google Summer of Code. Same thing goes to
Also,
Outreach.
yeah. Also, you can throw some light on LFX mentor. Right. Both are in the same way you wanted to tell.
Yeah, so LFX mentorship, though I haven't like been a part of LFX mentorship, right, personally. Well, LFX mentorship, I know a lot of people that have gotten opportunities through that, right? The key thing I would say, like, and I'll see, it's not for an absolute beginner. So when I say absolute beginner, somebody that has not done anything, right? Most of these opportunities, you should be doing something, right? Let's say now today, as of today, you have not deployed a Kubernetes cluster before. You have not written any line of code before.
Yeah,
Make
because
it,
everyone has the same thing. Na? They applied many times and they get rejected. So that's how they can get inducted into it.
yeah, so that is the thing. So just like what Julia says, right? If you get rejected, maybe ask for feedback. What can you do better? Right? It's all about improving. So when you get better, for me, there are so many opportunities I've applied to that have gotten rejected. So many, right? Even for conference talks, even for program, I've applied for outreach two times and I got rejected, right? Google Citizen of Dogs, it was only once that I applied and I got accepted. But then again, there are so many other programs that I've applied for, and some of them didn't even get back to me. But it's constant improvement when you're getting better, and you keep applying and you keep asking for feedback, right? Rejection is part of the journey, just as though it's not like a sprint, just like Julia said, right? It's a marathon. So rejections will happen, right? Rejections will always happen. I too still get rejections as at this day. Everyone gets rejections at so many levels, right? So it's just about learning from like, okay, this rejection, what can I do to improve? Always, if someone rejects you for something, you can always reach out to them and ask them, please, can you give me feedback on like why I was rejected? In most cases, people will actually give you feedback on what you can do to get better, right? Then you improve on that. Then you keep applying for the next opportunities. You just once you keep getting better, right? You will get to a point that the universe will reward you. So people then call it luck, but you actually created your luck by doing what needs to be done, right? Because you improve your chances, right, of getting lucky. So I don't know if that like offers some insights into that, because I like so many opportunities, like even until this day, so many opportunities I still get rejected for opportunities, right? So it is normal. Just embrace rejection and use it to fuel your ambition.
Yeah, right. So that's really great. And I believe we have no more questions. So we would close this. And thank you so much, Divine.
And
And
thank
thank
you
you
very much
all.
for the opportunity.
Thank you all for being a part of this amazing experience at CNC Dehradun. And like again, my heartfelt thanks to Zulia, our previous speaker, and Divine. So they are sharing their inspiring journey and showing us how we can contribute to the amazing community of the cloud native environment. And yeah, so this is just a beginning, and we are very excited to build this chapter and contribute. So everyone, join in and follow us on LinkedIn, follow Divine on LinkedIn, and yeah, you will be getting some more exciting tips and tricks how to break in. And until next time, stay curious, stay